Hey, what's going on? It's Anime and Vibes. So my last video, I tried to cover all the darker skinned Asians in anime. I know I still missed a whole lot, and I just covered the main few that are known. I don't think I got to Oob, but he's an honorable mention as well. And Mustache Guy from Bleach, I always forget his name. And there's also Hercule and Mugen from Samurai Champloo. These guys right here are the honorable mentions that I didn't get to cover, but you do know their Ainu representation, which are the indigenous people of Japan. And a lot of people still think that being, black is just associated to America, when actually, even though we're visually brown people, black is a global thing from Oceania to Asia. And today I'm covering all the oceanic people that are represented in Asia that are darker skinned. Now, some of these people might not be familiar to you, but I'm gonna cover Hao, Kiawe, my main man Kuzan, and Professor Kiwi and his wife, I think. Her name is Kiwi too. Well, she was not Professor Burnett, but you know what I mean. And then King. Now, King, I think, is ambiguously brown because I don't really know what King falls into. He could be Native American, he could be Oceanic, he could be, I don't know. But he's going to be in there. Now, first on my list, I'm going to start with Kiawe. Kiawe was introduced in the Sun and Moon series that came out in 2016. If you haven't seen it, you should. It was actually good. A lot of people complain about it because they didn't like the artwork style. But you gotta remember, bro, Pokemon has evolved so much over the years, and the artwork isn't really for our generation anymore. I'm from the 90s generation, if you don't know. It's not really for us, it's more for the newer gen. I liked it though, I enjoyed it because it was something different, but everyone else hated it. I enjoyed the fact that they showed Kiawe with his family, his mother, his sisters, and his grandfather, which I forgot to put a picture in here. But if you want to, you can Google what his grandfather looks like. He just looks like a younger version of him. Kiawe, I want to say, might be representative of the Solomon Islands or Papua New Guinea, possibly the Hawaiians of old. That I'm not too sure of, but he is an oceanic representation. He might be Maori. I could be wrong. He could be that as well, but he is definitely a Pacific Islander representation nonetheless. Kiawe is a very hard, strict, well, not really strict, but he's more outgoing, but he's very strict in his training with his Pokemon. Very lovable type of guy. Him and Ash had a very, they had a chill dynamic together, man. They were really good to see. And to be the age that he is, it's pretty impressive that Go was even shocked at how impressive a Gym that he really was. That's why Kiawe stuck to me. And Pokemon doesn't strain from having dark-skinned characters. They've done this over the years with, there's a gym leader from Unova and then Grant from the X and Y series, who kind of looks like he could be Kiawe's cousin, but there are features that make them distinct, But nonetheless, Kiawe is really one of those characters that attaches himself to you. Like, you go to love him. He was kind of like what Brock would have been if Brock wasn't so girl crazy and more focused on training. Now, some people may argue about Kiawe being the first dark-skinned Islander represented in the Pokemon anime, because some people will bring up probably the Nurse Joy from the Orange Islands, but that's a tan on her. What Kiawe has isn't a tan. What Hao has and Professor Kukui, those aren't tans. Those are their natural skin tones. So some people might argue that, but the facts are there. This isn't a tan. These are really the first dark-skinned Islanders represented in the Pokemon anime, and they did pretty good. Well, actually, no, they did a damn good job, especially having Kiawe being as dark-skinned as he is and being an Islander, because a lot of people don't realize in real life that there are still dark-skinned Pacific Islanders that exist. Now, Kiawe's team, I love it. He had a Fire Ghost, Marowak, and a Torchinator, which that fit his personality, and then he had a Charizard on top of that, which it kind of makes sense because in the game you can find a starter Pokemon, but it's even crazier that he had a Charizard. Like, all the cool trainers have a Charizard. I don't know what's up with that. But I like that continuation trope of having a Charizard with the cool characters. Now, the next on the list is no other than the Chill Fruit Eater, Kuzan Akikoji. I think that's how you say his name. I always butcher his name. Now, I always thought Kuzan was representative of like Kobe, like a homage to him, because Oda has a habit of making his characters really familiar to people that you're used to seeing in real life. But I want to say Kuzan is more of like a Fijian representation. Could be Papua New Guinea, but I'm going with Fiji on this one. Now, in this scene, you have him freezing Doflamingo, which I don't know to this day why Doflamingo even thought he was going to be faster than Kuzan's ice. Why I said Muzan high. But why he was going to be faster, I don't know. But another question I always have is, how did he get so damaged by Akainu? Even though they are both awakened Devil Fruit users, I think Kuzan should have had a better chance. But I will say throughout the series, Kuzan has always shown that he is very chill, but he will get serious if need be. From that time he was about to kill Luffy without hesitation. Thank God that didn't happen, because then we wouldn't have got Sun God Nika. But there's times that he will do what's need to be done. And there was that time he froze Robin. I forgot all about that. Like, he froze Robin and Luffy had to come save her, and he almost got killed the first time by Kuzan. Second time was on the Marine Fort. If you don't remember, you can always go back and watch it. Netflix doesn't have it. Why? I don't know. But yeah, Kuzan was one of those guys that stood out to me because at first I didn't really realize that he was representation of oceanic people of darker skin until I started looking like really doing the background, looking at his phenotype, his hair, and just how he moves. And I'm like, yeah, he's definitely a Pacific Islander for sure. And I think Kuzan is like 8 feet tall, something like that. Like he's hella tall, which a lot of One Piece characters are. But that covers Kuzan for the time being. I might come back to him later. But the next on my list are the Raikage. Now, I don't know if oh God. I don't know if Kishimoto took notes from Taikubo. I think he did because his diversity and representation of the dark-skinned characters in his series were spot on, especially with the Raikage looking like RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. And then we have the second Raikage who looks like Jimi Hendrix. I don't know if that was on purpose or what, but I do know Taikubo and Masashi Kishimoto are heavily influenced by Black American culture. So that could be a reason why they look like that. But these guys could either be Pacific Islander or Black American, take it how you want, but they fit the bill. Now, how they did him in the manga, hobo, Jimi Hendrix, horrible. I hated that. But Drui, definitely Pacific Islander, definitely Solomon Islander for sure. And I say Solomon Islander instead of Melanesia because Melanesia is a colonized name. Now, a lot of Pacific Islanders are really starting to get away from the colonized names of the region, so I'm going to give that respect as well. Then we have A with the third Raikage, and these guys are pretty big guys. Also, I would say Solomon Islander representation heavily. Now, how they did Drui in the Boruto animation, horrible because they gave him the second Raikage take, the Hobo tour. But yeah, in the manga, it's like they made him look cooler, so he got the reverse. I don't know what's going on there, but I like it. And then, of course, we have Killer B, who's also Solomon Islander representation, the, quote, Black Pacific Islanders. That fight was legendary. And then the fight between A and Sasuke, which inspired this meme that will never get old for as long as I live. And you know the meme when you see it when you know it. I'm not going to say the word here, but you know, hey. And of course, we have Killer B and A together. These guys are definitely Black Pacific Islanders, hands down. And of course, we got Kawi as well. I think Kawi would be more like a Buka Islander herself, or maybe more Fijian type, you know. I still hate how she ended up getting with Choji because I don't know how that happened, and we don't get an explanation how that even happened. I still want an explanation, but she might be more of a Torres Strait type of Australian, Pacific Islander, oceanic person. I'm not too sure, but her phenotype is given that, minus the red hair. But then again, there are people in Oceania who do have sandy brown and red hair, so I could be wrong. Now, the next person on our list, aka the overbearing man of justice, aka the Terminator, aka Ace Killer, Akainu. Now, Akainu's sense of justice is a bit overbearing because he feels like his sense of justice is the absolute supreme of justice. Like, there's no other way around it. If it's not his way, it's nobody's way. And we never got a backstory to why he is like that. Like, he hates pirates to the extreme. And I want to say Akainu is representation of maybe Samoa or Tonga. I'd say maybe Tonga. It could be Samoan, but either way. But we do know for a fact he is a Pacific Islander. I was thinking Hawaii at first because of the flowers, but then I'm like, nah, he's too angry to be Hawaiian. Way too angry. So I'm going to give it up to Samoa or Tonga with him. But we do need a backstory to see why this man hates pirates so much and why he is the way he is, because dude be tripping sometimes, I'm not going to lie. Akainu be on one. Now, the next people on our list, I had to put Professor Kukui and Professor Burnett, or Mrs. Kukui nowadays as she goes by. Now, these two might be Marshallese or Guamanian. I'm not too sure, but they are definitely Pacific Islanders for sure, especially Professor Kukui. Burnett, I don't know where she would fit at, honestly. Like, she could be anywhere in the Pokemon world. Like, their version of, like, the Pacific Islanders, she definitely fits in. And that baby, you know, it's a dead giveaway as well. Professor Burnett and Professor Kukui, like I said, I'd say Marshallese or Guam probably, or maybe Tahitian. They might be Tahitian. I don't really know. But like I said earlier, we do know for a fact these are also Pacific Islanders representation as well within anime. And I can't lie, Pokemon has been doing their thing in the last 7 years with anime and representation of people of other cultures that are not Asian and dark skinned. And there's a rumor as well that this guy right here, I forget his name, that he might be her brother. So I did a quick Google search and his name is Professor Freddy. I couldn't remember his name, but he is definitely Islander representation. Dark skin, white hair. I can see why people think he's her brother or her cousin because the similarities are definitely there. And like I said, these two are the perfect representation of Lola and Islander people. Now the next on our list is How. Hao is also another member of the Pokemon Sun and Moon series who's introduced to us back in 2016. Hao, as you can see, is definitely Hawaiian representation, especially with that darker skin. Hao has a Datrix, I want to say a Decidueye, my bad. He has a Decidueye, he had a Datrix. And I think that's his first Pokemon, or it might be the Alola Raichu. I'm not really too sure. But him and his grandfather, they are definitely a representation of Hawaii. There's no getting around that. And you could say that Hao is the Alola counterpart to Ash Ketchum. It's just his mannerism, how he battles, and that various typing that he has amongst his team, that one could say he is indeed the Alola counterpart to Ash. Hao is just like Ash in every aspect of he's cool, chill, outgoing, a very happy type of person, but he takes his battling very seriously. And what I liked about Hao and Ash is it's pretty ironic. Ash ended up with a Rowlet, and Hao's second Pokemon was a Rowlet that evolved later into the Decidueye throughout the series. So I always thought that was pretty interesting how that happened. I just hate the fact that we may not go back to the Alola region for like who knows how long before they revisit that. Because the last time we went back was during Pokemon Journeys when Ash and Go went to go revisit Alola and say hello to everybody, you know? So hopefully one day we'll get more representation from the Pacific Islands of Alola and have Ash and everyone reunite one more time. Now, next up on our list is no other than King for One Piece. I'm pretty sure a lot of you already knew he was going to be on here. Because King is ambiguously brown, I don't really know what he would fit at, but today I'm going to put him as Samoan because Lunarians, if you know, have this unique ability to wield fire, and in Samoa they have a tradition called Fire Night where one would get branches during a festival or a ceremony and wield them in a kind of mesmerizing motion. King is one of those characters that you're like, you don't know really he really fits in that, but today's going to be Samoan. And if you look at the Lunarians, if you haven't seen them, these guys weren't just tall and skinny. These guys were tall and stocky. I'm talking about like built. And in Samoa, there's a root. It's a natural root that's like a steroid that will beef you up. And that fits Lunarians heavily, especially King before his face reveal. And if you look at the Lunarians, these people are built. Even the women, like they're stocky. These guys, they look like they are ready for war at all times. Like they don't play games. So in terms of representation, I'm putting King in that Samoan category for the time being until we find out something later. Now, another one that's next up on our list, no other than Harry Bell from Bleach. A lot of people may have thought I forgot about her, but Harry Bell is also a representation of oceanic people, more so the Torres Strait and or Solomon Islanders. Brown skin, blonde hair, and some people will try to say, oh, that's a tan. We know that's not a tan. That's how people cope when they don't want to just acknowledge that there are darker skin representation in anime people who don't have tans. It's there. It's okay. Araba is another one of those characters where you have to really like search up images of her because there aren't that many, and it sucks because she's a very uniquely drawn character, and it's just her eyes and just her whole persona is like mesmerizing. So when you see Araba, you know that's definitely oceanic representation of the Solomon Island or Melanesia region that is heavily represented here. Why she doesn't get enough talk, I don't know. Like when she first hit the scene, it was just But now, you know, you don't really hear much about her but nowadays. But she's another character from another series that is heavily represented with the Islanders of the Melanesian region. Now, another forgotten waifu gem, Mihoshi. Now, some say Mihoshi is a representation of the Ganguro culture. If you don't know what the Ganguro culture is, it's where Japanese women would dye their skin artificially or naturally and make it darker and more appeasing to men who enjoy that and dye their hair blonde. Though I don't agree with some of the face changes to Mihoshi over the years, she's still a lovable waifu nonetheless, and a forgotten gem. Tenchi Muyo has tried to make reboots and come back here and there, but they just haven't been as good as the original, to be honest. But there's always been love for Mihoshi, and even to this day, if you post her, people will be like, oh, that's waifu, that's bae, because Mihoshi, like I said, she's a forgotten gem. She's a lovable airhead goofball. Mihoshi, it could go either way with her. She could be representation of the Ganguro culture or of the Melanesia region in the Pacific Islanders. Either way, she is a fan favorite and a forgotten love gem waifu, so stop sleeping on Mihoshi. So I'm going to give her flowers while they're due because Mihoshi is definitely dark skin representation that's not a tan and forgotten by the jest of time, sadly. But hopefully, you know, this will make more people remember her and just look up and give her more fan art. Like, she deserves the love. But that ends my video of all the oceanic representation within anime. If there's anybody I missed, hey, leave a comment down in the comment section, let me know. But with that being said, hope everyone has a good day, be safe, and remember, anime vibes for life. Peace.